Couple of housekeeping things before we jump into this lesson. I put grades in on Sunday into Canvas, and I noticed not everybody had done their CK12 or from some of the grades on Big Ideas, it didn't look like everybody had actually completed the whole assignment. And I just wanted to make sure everybody understands the expectations in the class. And when the due date comes, that's when the assignment is supposed to be turned in. With CK12, make sure that you're hitting the turn in button at the bottom. Okay, so if you didn't do that, I can reopen for you, and you should have all the work there still, and then you can just hit the turn in button. So you just have to let me know, communicate with me. So this week for your grades in Infinite Campus, I just put hundreds for everybody, because I didn't want anybody penalized for maybe not understanding how to do things yet. Okay, so that's why Infinite Campus grades and Canvas grades this week do not match each other. But the Canvas grade is what I will be using for future weeks. So make sure that you're hitting the due dates when they're due. If you've got a question on a grade that's in Canvas, come see me, because I can reopen things if it was something that you just didn't understand the proper way to turn things in or whatever it is. But you've got to take the effort and come see me so I can reopen it. Okay, otherwise come next Tuesday, because Monday we don't have school, whatever's in Canvas at the end of the week is what's going to go in the grade book on Infinite Campus on Tuesday. So if you're not happy with where your grade is now, and it's because you just didn't quite understand something or you need more time, and we're kind of in that beginning of the class week, time frame, I'll be a little more lenient and I can open things back up. But you've got to let me know. Okay. This section's talking about angles, measuring angles. I'm going to be gone the next 3 days. I know, to a conference. Mrs. Fennell's going to be my sub. Last year, I recorded just like I'm recording now, and I was here last year during these next 3 days. And so she's going to be playing the recordings of what I talk about at the beginning of class for you. And when we will have a quiz on Thursday, the recording tomorrow will go through a review for the quiz, that kind of thing. So the one thing I'll tell you is when I recorded last year, obviously the calendar was different and we had different dates. So if I talk about days of the week or dates in that video, it's not applicable to this year. So don't get confused when all of a sudden I say, well, tomorrow's Monday, and you're like, it's Thursday, Mrs. Reeder, what are you doing? It's because I recorded last year, and she's just going to play that recording. So the relevant pieces are the actual math pieces, but any extraneous stuff that I have in there that have to do with dates, don't get confused. Doesn't pertain to you. That makes sense? Okay. I'll have her remind you of that too, because you'll hear it and think it's really strange. So tomorrow in class, we're going to actually be doing constructions, which is a lot of students find it fun, some don't. I'll kind of show you what it looks like just so that you guys are ready. You're going to have this worksheet, and it's about 5 or 6 pages front and back, and it talks you through step by step how to do certain constructions, making angles, copying angles, finding midpoints on segments, that kind of thing, using something called a compass, which is this. Okay? Some of you are going to really understand it from the get-go, those of you who are kind of a little more mechanically inclined. Okay? Some of you might struggle, so I would just ask, if you're really understanding it, find someone who's having a hard time with it and help them out, because Mrs. Fennell's not going to be able to probably help as well. But I know there's going to be a couple of you that's just going to be a piece of cake and you're going to breeze through it, and there's going to be a couple of you that are going to say, I have no idea what I'm doing. So just help each other out tomorrow, okay? That's all you're doing in class is this worksheet. At the end of the period, turn it back in, and it's going to count as a classroom problem grade. Okay, so it should be a really easy grade for you, and you won't have any homework. So the homework for 1-4, which is what we'll do tomorrow in class, won't be due until the following, which would be Thursday night, not tomorrow night. A lot of stuff there. What's that? Got it? Okay, thank you.
Where did we turn it?
Just to Mrs. Fennell. Yeah, just turn it in. If you're gone, there's a link to this on Canvas that you can print. Okay, so let's talk about 1-3. There will be a quiz over 1.1 through 1.3 on Thursday, not tomorrow. And again, Mrs. Spindle will play the review for you before you start constructions, and then the rest of the period you'll just do constructions. So if I go to the quiz, and I think I'm going to open a new tab so I can get back to this quickly.
Can you open one of our lessons real quick? We can do it. She's behind. Open the time
It'll just take me about 5 minutes to go through this, and then I'll open it up. Oh, wrong class. Sorry. Okay, first question. When naming an angle with the 3 letters, the letter representing the vertex is always the middle letter. True or false? True. Okay, so if you want it pretty clear, when you're talking about some angle, I could get it to go to a new page. Thank you. I can't call it just any combination of those 3 letters. A plane, when we were dealing with planes and we had to have 3 points on the plane, we could call it any combination of those 3 letters that are on the plane, 3 points. With an angle, though, each one of these are points, because an angle is just 2 segments connected at a vertex. But it's really important that the middle letter always represents the vertex of the angle. Okay, this works too, but this does not. Okay? Match the definition to the correct word. When 2 rays have the same endpoint, what is that called? 2 rays have the same endpoint, an angle. Okay, I just drew one. I could go ahead and just make this a ray. There's the endpoint of the ray. Remember, a ray has an endpoint and a direction that goes on forever. 2 rays that have the same endpoint are called an angle. The common endpoint of the 2 rays that form an angle. Line, sides, angle, ray, or vertex. Vertex, the common endpoint, the vertex. And then the 2 rays that form an angle are called the sides of the angle. Okay. Question 3. An angle that measures 100 degrees is considered what kind of an angle? Obtuse. So everybody comfortable with acute, right, obtuse? This should be review. Acute less than 90, not equal to 90. Right equal to 90, obtuse greater than 90, up to 180. Okay. Question 4. How many of you actually went to the Math is Fun website? Kind of what I thought. Okay. So this is why I kept it up. I try and put some tools in for you, so for you to actually play with inside the textbook occasionally, and you can only find them if you read the textbook. But if we go to, I think it's on the next page. I can find. Okay, here's the link. There was a hyperlink. It was in page 5 of the textbook. And it says, we can draw any angle between 0 and 180 degrees. Go to this website. And this was an opportunity for you to learn how to use a protractor. Okay, this was a link in the textbook that I wanted you to go through. At the bottom here, you can actually take the protractor, line it up, and this is something you probably need to do before tomorrow if you've never used a protractor before. Line it up to try and figure out, I've got to remember, drag the protractor, rotate using arrow keys. That was the answer to that problem. Okay? So when you're going through and reading and I put hyperlinks in, go in and play, because this is kind of a cool website that actually gives you a hands-on on how to use a protractor, which you're going to need to know how to do tomorrow. Okay? So the arrow keys was the right answer here, and that's how you get into that website, is just going through the hyperlink on the textbook. Next question. Wrong question. It's in this other tab. True or false? A shortened name for the angle XUY is angle U. False. Why is it false? Okay, use the vertex. But I contend that I can call this angle angle U. Why can I call this angle angle U, but this angle I can't? Yeah, there's more than one angle at this vertex, isn't there? There's actually 3. I have XUY, I have YUZ, I have XUZ. I have 3 angles that have the same vertex. If I tell you, okay, find the measure of angle U, you have no idea which angle I'm talking about. Okay? So when there's more than one angle at the common vertex, you can't just simply call it the angle of the vertex. You have to use all 3 letters to identify the angle. Okay? If it's the only angle there, you can just call it angle U. Okay, questions on any of that? Okay, go ahead and get to work on your classroom problems and CK12. Any questions on 1-2 I should ask before we move on, because that's due tonight at midnight.
1.2.
1.2, Nicole.
1.2 is due tonight. You have a question?
Can I use your comment?
Yes, sorry. Go ahead. Just take it with you. Okay.